Hello and welcome back to the Formula 4 Southeast Asia Championship, fueled by Petron. As always, my name is Aaron Thompson and we're coming to you live for the fourth race of the weekend in just a moment. But before then, let's have a quick walk down the pit lane and see if we can find anybody to talk to.
Yes, so we're just right about to start race number 4, and this racing grid is determined by the second fastest lap on qualifying number 1. And in here we're going to see some pretty good fights in between all the drivers, so first laps is going to be really exciting in between them, just to see some fightbacks in the track. Let's hope for the best.
Thank you very much, Gabby. Now up to race control to watch the start of the race.
On pole position, we have Hadrian David, and just behind him, Malte Jacobsen and Luca Allen. Fourth place is Emil Skaras with Josh Smith and Ali Akabi sitting right behind him. Seventh is Elias Sepanin with Shriyan Naidu, Alistair Young, Abdullah Bashara, Lyubov, Moise Mushafa and Talal Bashara just behind them. And of course, unfortunately, Lewis Leeds and Luke Thompson not able to join us this weekend. But as you can see, everybody's in their position now. In a moment, you'll see that marshal on the right-hand side of your screen walk across the back of the grid, and then the red lights will all go on. And as they extinguish, we will be underway. We can see there, that looks like number 17. That's Talal Bashara, if I'm not mistaken, joining at the back of the grid, or Abdallah Bashara, his brother, rather. You can see the gap there between the pink and red cars. That's where Abdallah is supposed to be. But here we go, the red lights are on. Race is about to start. Here we are, we're away. Car number 20 at the back, that's Abdallah Bashara, has his hands up. He's got a problem, but back to the front of the grid, we've got Malte Jacobsen side by side with Hadrian David. Malte obviously got a great start, and he's in a good position to go around the outside now at turn 1. Looks like Emil Skaras is trying to do the same thing on Josh Smith, and another yellow car in the middle there. That might be, who might that be? Got to be, I can't make it out. Oh, it's Ali Akabi. That's Ali Akabi trying to make a move as well. But Hadrian David, oh, very squirrely there, and Malte Jacobsen is going to come up on the outside now of turn 3. Beautiful driving. Is that Malte Jacobsen or is that Luca Allen? I can't quite make out the car numbers from here, and of course they're both in the same color car, but Emil Skaras is sitting pretty in 4th position as well, so he's going to look to make this into his advantage. Just look like that's number 8 on the outside, and number 3 on the inside now. Here we go. They're going to go and go both ways around him at turn 5. There we are. We're going to have 3 wide through turn 5. 2 blue cars either side of Hadrian David's red car, while we see this is Abdallah Bashara being recovered there, or rather his brother Talal Bashara. Back to the front of the grid, though, we've got now this red car. That's Hadrian Davis managed to hold on to his first position, while Luca Allen, I should say, up into 2nd. And Emil Skaras is right up behind Malte Jacobsen as they all try to make a move through turn 7 and 8. Brilliant driving while somebody goes off just behind. That's an orange car, number 17. That's Talal that must be Abdallah Bashara. Yes, correct, that must be Abdullah Bashara. As here we go, Elias Sepanin trying to make a move up the inside of Ali Akabi, and he does so beautifully, closing the door quite nicely through turn 10. But what's happening here, this is a red and blue car that looks like Elias Sepanin, and just ahead of him it might be Alistair Young. While back to the front of the grid, we've got Hadrian David going off screen just there, and I think we're going to have a replay now. Here we are, this is a replay of what happened to the orange car coming out of turn 8. Let's see, oh, he must have gone wide coming through turn 7 and touched the gravel, and then from there he was, the car was out of his control, and looks like something's happened. Something happened there, some wing came off, I think. But anyway, back to the action at the front of the grid now. Hadrian David, car number 26, still right in the race. Luca Allen in 2nd, Malte Jacobsen just behind. You can see Luca's going to have to drive defensively because Malte's making a move up the inside of turn 15 now. Looks like just behind in another purple car. That might be number 12. That's Shriyan Naidu trying to make a move on Ali Akabi. As we continue down the start-finish straight now. Here we go, crossing the start-finish line. Let's have a quick look at the positions. We've got Hadrian David in 1st still as Emil Skaras tries to make a move now on Malte Jacobsen, but he's stuck in behind the Irishman, Luca Allen now. He's got nowhere to go unless he goes around the outside of both of them, but he's a little bit too far back for that. And it looks like there's a blue car just behind them. Might be Alistair Young, who went very wide there coming out of turn 1. Coming down through turn 3 now. The pack leads us around with Hadrian David at the front of the grid. As we can see, the Frenchman very happy in that position. Does seem like Alistair Young is still on track after whatever happened to him at turn 1. However, he seems he's missing his rear wing. How is he continuing to drive without a rear wing? That's a very impressive display of racecraft there from the Malaysian to continue going. That must be what we saw happen at turn 9. But back now through turn 5. You can see they're about to make the right-hander turn 6. This looks to me to be 58. That's just behind number 5. That's Elias Sapanen and Josh Smith. And Malte Jacobsen now making a move around the outside of Luca Allen. As up the inside comes Emil Scaris. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. It's a three-way fight for second position. Emil Scaris in a good place now to dive up the inside because Malte Jacobsen's not going to have the best line coming into turn 9. Emil's going to take him on the outside, but he gets pushed very, very wide indeed. But it does seem like he's still side by side. And Josh Smith, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Josh Smith is going to take both of these drivers and leapfrog into third position. That's brilliant driving there from the Aussie. And Malte Jacobsen not giving up, not giving him an inch and coming back around the outside of turn 11. So Josh Smith managing into third position now, but we've seen him jump 2 cars already, so he's going to take Malte now up the inside of turn 13 and 14. Can he do it? He gets, Malte runs very, very wide indeed, so that's going to mean Josh has a lot better exit speed. So that's Josh Smith from Australia, ladies and gentlemen, up into third position in the final race of the weekend. Beautiful driving from the young Aussie. Here we go back down the back straight. It's not over yet, ladies and gentlemen. We've got more action going on. Shreya Naidu joining in this pack of fighters with Elias Sapanen, Emil Scaris, Josh Smith, and Malte Jacobsen all tackling for third position. Of course, this is now look at this. They're three wide coming down the start-finish straight. This is brilliant driving, ladies and gentlemen. And just behind them, there's another pair of drivers going 2 wide. And here we are coming down the start-finish straight. Let's see what's going to happen. Josh Smith going to the outside, taking the outside line. Going to cut in now, and looks like Elias Sapanen is going to go around the outside of Malte Jacobsen in car number 4. That's Emil Scaris. He's got a beautiful line. He's going to dive down the inside of turn 2. We've seen a collision here before, but not this time around, as Malte and as Elias handles it beautifully. And now he's on the outside of turn 3. Maybe got a little bit slower exit out of turn 2. Not quite able to get past Malte Jacobsen ahead of him. But it's not too late for the young Finnish driver to make a move in the coming corners. Emil Scaris is now jumping back on on Elias Sapanen. This is wonderful racing, ladies and gentlemen. These cars are going at it from start to finish as always as we come through turn 5 now. And let's see what's going to happen. Elias has got the inside line, but you know, it's a flat corner through turn 5, so you really need to be on the outside and dive, so you can dive in a little bit more. But Elias is not going to give up. Just have car number 12 behind him now, right on his back. That's the final purple car on your screens there, ladies and gentlemen. That's Shreya Naidu joining us from South Africa. He's going to be fighting with Elias as well now. But Josh Smith, ladies and gentlemen, I think he's the man to talk about, managing to jump from 5th to 3rd in through coming out of turn 10, which is absolutely brilliant, and closing the deal through turn 13, which is really a wonderful thing to see. Let's have a quick replay of that action right now. Here we are. We've got, this is Ali Akabi overtaking Alistair Young. Alistair Young, though, he's the man to talk about because he's doing all this without a rear wing. And Malte Jacobsen here, this is what happened with Malte Jacobsen and looks like Emil Scaris. And here we go, that's number 5 car, that's where he overtook them. And this is where he closed the deal, where Malte ran wide coming out of turn 14. And this is how Josh Smith ended up in 3rd position in the final race of the weekend. And you can see him there leading that pack of 5 cars who are still all really contending for 3rd position in down the back straight. But let's have a quick look to the front of the grid. We've got Hadrian David still in 1st position. He's leading now by about a second with Luca Allen just behind him. And then the pack led by Josh Smith, Malte Jacobsen, Emil Scaris and Elias Sapanen. And of course Shreya Naidu just behind them. Ali Akabi and Maurice Mushaffer battling it out for 8th and 9th. Alistair Young, Lyubov, Ozero Oskova, Talal Bashar and Abdullah Bashar all fighting at the back of the grid as well. But back to the front now. Here's Josh Smith defending his 3rd position from Malte Jacobsen. Josh, of course, in the red number 5, and Malte Jacobsen in the blue car, trying to undertake him there on the inside of turn 1. But it just sets. That's the thing about Sepang, ladies and gentlemen. It's a switchback circuit, so it just sets him up. Unfortunately for Josh to take him back through turn 2, and that's exactly what we saw happen, because now we can see them leading. We can see Hadrian leading us up into turn 4, as Josh is now on the inside here coming through turn 4. But this is going to give Malte a very nice exit speed. There you can see he's already at least halfway down the length of his car coming through turn 5 and being on the outside of the corner. This is where I would want to be. And Emil Scaris, oh, huge accident, ladies and gentlemen. Emil Scaris has collided with Malte Jacobsen coming out of turn 5. Malte seems to be okay. He's definitely moving. Everything seems, his car is not in the best condition, but Malte seems to be okay. He's getting up, he's moving. Okay, let's have a quick replay of that, ladies and gentlemen, and see what happened. Here we go. Look at the purple car on the inside of your screens. He's side by side. somebody loses traction a little bit and touches the other car. Emil goes off into the grass, but as you can see, Malte has flipped up into the air and is, well, we're very glad to see him. Seems to be okay. Safety car deployed there, of course, while we recover all the cars and any debris on track. But as you can see, Malte is definitely moving, so he seems to be okay, and I'm sure the medical car will be with him momentarily if it isn't already. As we can see, the safety car now picking up the front of the pack. That's Hadrian David and Luca Allen. On a side note, ladies and gentlemen, Luca Allen did just do the fastest first sector, finding 2/10 from Hadrian David. So now that we know that Malte is okay, and I'm sure Emil is as well, as we saw him continuing to drive. Once everything is recovered, you can see there, of course, Malte sitting in the car. You can see his head moving. That's the track marshal there coming to talk to him, so everything seems to be okay. Here we go. Safety car, yep. Driver's continuing to move off now. Number 12, Moise Mouchaffer, seems to have a bit of a problem, and behind him, Talal Bashara, or Abdallah Bashara, Talal Bashara, I should say. Nobody he gets going. As we come down now, both cars get going, brilliant. So we come down now through turn 1. There's going to be some excellent racing because Moise Mouchaffer at the back of the grid, he's going to want to get up onto the podium because he's had an unfortunate weekend this weekend. But we know Moise has got something to show, got something to prove, because he was second or third overall, I should say, last year. And of course his goal this year is to come back and be the champion. But as we follow the safety car around turn 3 now, 9 minutes 52 seconds remaining on the clock, so that's good to know. Means presumably that we will get another 5 laps or so of racing, perhaps only 4 laps once the safety car comes in. We'll know, ladies and gentlemen, at I believe it's turn 12 that the safety car lights go off. When you see the safety car lights go off, that's an indication the safety car is coming in that lap. What that means to the racing drivers is once the safety car comes into the pit lane, they can resume race pace, and once they cross the start-finish straight, they can resume overtaking. So that's why you see, ladies and gentlemen, in F1 and other championships where the drivers start to slow down after you see the safety car come in, because the lead driver at that point when the safety car comes in is actually effectively the safety car, because there's no overtaking allowed until you cross the start-finish straight. So there's a lot of strategy involved in that decision to try to get their best restart possible. But as we can see, the safety car lead coming through turn 9 now. The lights are definitely still still on, I should say. So we might have to go another lap under safety car, which is unfortunate. But of course, safety is our top priority, and we saw there was a big crash at turn 5. But all the cars seem to have got through that section, so that would indicate that there's no longer any debris on the track. But of course, it's better to be safe than sorry, as the safety car leads us through turn 11. And if I'm not mistaken, the lights are still on. And I can definitely see the yellow flag still being waved, so we're definitely going at least a little bit more. But here we go, safety car lights are off just as I speak about it. And coming through turn 11 now, Hadrian David is still at the front of the pack, but as we said before, Luca Allen is on pace. In fact, he's 0.02 of a second faster than the French driver at the front of the grid. So once the safety car comes in and the race is resumed as they pass the start-finish straight, I'm sure we're going to see some very interesting action between Luca Allen and Hadrian David. I'm sure Josh Smith is going to surprise both of the drivers at the front of the pack, and we might end up with an Aussie on the top spot at the podium at the end of the weekend. Here we go, though. Safety car, you can see, pulling away as Hadrian, I'm sure, slows down the cars behind him, trying to get a launch off the grid as well as he can. I think that was the safety car coming into the pit lane. And now we can see Hadrian is going to step on the gas at any moment. And of course, it's at his discretion as the leader of the race. Here we go. You can hear him starting to accelerate already as they cross the start-finish line. Overtaking will be allowed once again, and I'm sure coming into turn 1, Luca Allen is going to try and make a move. Josh Smith perhaps a little bit too far back. Maybe he didn't quite time it right on the restart. And unfortunately for him, at least, that's Elias Sapanin just behind him. There we go. Let's going to see what's happened. Luca trying to go around the outside. Elias Sapanin trying to go around the outside as well. Luca doesn't quite manage to make the move, but Elias might be in a good position to try and dive down the inside of turn 2. But Josh closes the door beautifully on the driver just behind him, as Luca Allen is neck and neck now with the driver at the front of the grid, Hadrian David, as the two come around turn 3, up the hill into turn 4. Ladies and gentlemen, this angle doesn't do that hill justice. It is a big uphill sector, as on the outside now, side by side, is Luca Allen. Is he going to try and dive down the inside? Yes, he is. He's going to switch back. He's going to be on the outside of turn 5 now. Not quite close enough to make a move. I think he should hold off and try and make a move coming into turn 9. That would be the best option for him, if I'm not mistaken. As we see, looks like Emil Scaris is not giving up. There's another blue car ahead of him now. That's Alistair Young, who is driving amazingly without a rear wing. It's amazing to see the Malaysian holding on to the position that he has managed to do. But Emil Scaris is right up behind him. You see he's going to try and make a move now coming into turn 8. Looks like he does that successfully, and just behind him, Ali Akabi is making a move as well on the Malaysian driver. Ball back to the front of the grid. Looks like Josh Smith is still in 3rd position, if I'm not mistaken, at the front of the grid. Another red car. That's is that Emil Scaris past? Is that Ali Akabi back past Alistair Young? Yes, it is indeed. As they come through past turn 10 now into the right hand of turn 11. This is going to be a difficult to tricky section of the circuit for the young Alistair Young in car number 22, as he has a lot less downforce than the other drivers, but he seems to be coping very well. I mean, everything included, but coming down the back straight now, let's see if Luca Allen can do anything for us in the front of the grid. It'll be very interesting to see the lap times, because it does look very close between the French driver and the Irish driver at the front of the pack, and Josh Smith, I'm sure, has got something to say about who's on top of the podium. But we can see Luca just a little bit too far back to make a move at turn 15. But let's see what happens as they all cross the start-finish line in just a moment, and we'll see the update in everyone's position. We'll see what lap time everyone is doing. So Hadrian David doing a 2:14.434, Luca Allen doing a 2:14.418. So still the Irish driver is about 0.02 of a second up on his French rival as they come into turn 1 once again. Although he is just a little bit too far back to make a move, perhaps he can try and get a good exit coming out of turn 2, build up his momentum through turn 3, and make something happen at turn 4. With 3 minutes left to go, that means about 2 laps, ladies and gentlemen, so the race is definitely not over yet. As Elias Sapanen, we just see on our screens, has crossed the start-finish line ahead of Josh Smith. That's terrible news for the Aussie driver, who really deserved that position. It was a beautiful overtaking maneuver where he jumped from 5th into 3rd. But just behind them, 12, that's Shrien Naidu, also doing very well. For your information, ladies and gentlemen, if the positions stay where they are at the moment, Hadrian David, Elias Sapanen, and Shrien Naidu will be your rookie winners for this race. Just outside of with Josh Smith just outside of the podium because of Elias Sapanen. I mean, we must have missed it because they're both red cars. A little bit difficult here from here to see exactly who's where. And we only get the updates as they cross the start-finish line. But you can see definitely now that's Elias Sapanen just ahead of Josh Smith in position 5. So I'm sure Josh is not going to be very happy about that. And he's going to have to try and answer something. Maybe he's going to try and do something here at turn 10, 11. We've seen him do it before, but he's a little bit too far back. Josh doing a 2:15 dead though last lap, and Elias doing a 2:15.4. So he definitely has the pace. So hopefully he'll close in on the driver ahead of him. And as I say that, ladies and gentlemen, Josh Smith did a 29.386 in Sector 2. That's the fastest Sector 2 of the race so far. And let's have a look. Hadrian David doing a fastest Sector 3 of the race so far, 38.7. So Josh Smith and Hadrian David really fighting for it. And Josh as well actually doing a 38.922. That's his personal best in Sector 3, and only 2 or 1.5 tenths off the race leader. And definitely faster than the other 2 cars separating the Aussie and the French driver. Coming around turn 15 now. Let's see as they cross the start-finish line once again how everyone stacks up. We can see that's Shrien Naidu just behind Josh Smith in the purple car. As they cross the start-finish line though, Hadrian David is a 2:14.3, Luca Allen is a 2:14.4. 1/10 between the 2 drivers, so that's not fair to say. It's more like 0.03 of a second still, although now in the Frenchman's favor as Josh Smith, let's see what he did. He did a 2:14.445, so that is about 0.05 of a second faster than Elias Sapanen. But the gap between the 2 drivers is 0.5, and that's a little bit too much to make a move. You need to close it down to more like 3 or 4 before you can be certain you're going to get past. But with 1 minute left on the clock, that means there's 1 lap left to go, and you can see that displayed now up in the top left corner of your screens. So, well, there's not a lot of time left for the young Aussie to try and make a move, but Luca Allen, ladies and gentlemen, is going to make every second of this lap count, because he just set the fastest first sector, I should say, of the race so far. 2 tenths faster than the race leader. That puts him now 5 tenths off of the race leader. If he finds a little bit more time, he's already really within striking distance, but he just needs to close it in a little bit, because we know Hadrian David at the front of the pack is an extremely consistent driver, and that's perhaps been his strength all year, I should say all events. but last time around he did set a 2:14.390, which was in fact the fastest lap of the race, although still within 300ths of a second of Luca Allen. Coming through turn 9 now. Let's see if Josh Smith is close enough to make a move. He's definitely right up behind Elias Sapanen in this the final lap of the race. But you can see the gap now between Luca Allen and Hadri David is just too much for the Irishman to make a move on the Frenchman. But the action is going to be between position 3 or 4. Hopefully we can focus in on position 3 and 4. That's the two red cars coming on your screen. It's coming on your screen now. Car number 5 and car number 58. And look how close they are, ladies and gentlemen. Josh Smith is going to have to make a move coming out of turn 15, or coming into turn 15. He's going to get the slipstream now. Here we go. Looks like he's having a look. Maybe he's coming out a little bit too early, though. Come on, Josh, you can do it. Dive down the inside. See what happens. See if we can make a move coming on the last lap. See if we can make something happen. Some Aussie magic here. Not quite, though, unfortunately. Josh stays tucked in behind Elias Sapanen as Hadri David once again takes the checkered flag, with Luca Allen just behind him. Elias Sapanen finishing in 3rd, Josh Smith finishing in 4th, Shrien Naidu in 5th, Emil Skaric in 6th, Ali Akabi in 7th, Alistair Young in 8th, with Moise Mashaffer expected to come in 9th in just a moment, Lubov Ozeret-Skovskoya and Talal Bashar just behind them. And of course, unfortunately, Malte Jacobsen not able to finish the race after his collision with Emil Skaric.
I started P3. It was chaos at the start with me, Hadri and Malta. We were all like side by side every corner for the first lap or so, first half lap. But I managed to get into P2 on the outside of turn 5. I was trying to get me and Haltage just push away from the rest of the pack, and then maybe we could have a battle later on in the race. Because obviously Hadri, this is a guest round for him, so I'm competing against the other guys for the championship. After the safety car, Elias did a good job to stay on my heels, and I was keeping up with Hadri as well. But I mean, he's done an extraordinary job this weekend, and he's made me push myself, and I've learned a lot from him.
The race was pretty good. I was a little bit slow in the beginning because I had quite new tyres, and I didn't get them warming up in the formation laps. After the safety car, I managed to gain a place and finish in 3rd. I nearly got him there, but then in the 4th corner he braked too late, and I managed to do a cut back on him.
I think it was a really nice race with Luca, because we were just pulling away from the pack, and it was really close to me. I wanted to be a little more relaxed, but he didn't want to let me alone, so he was just always pushing me, and I wanted to pull away, but I couldn't. Then safety car came out, and I've been told that Malta had a really big crash, so I hope he's okay. He was really fast in the last race, and then in the last lap we managed to pull a bit away, but he stayed quite close to me, so I was always careful.
Well, with that, unfortunately, we've reached the end of the race, which means we've come to the end of the first weekend of the 2019 championship. So for me, Aaron Thompson, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.